Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Brittany with Horoscope.com. Here are 3 things you need to know in order to make today, Thursday, February 14th, 2019, a success. Now the first thing I want to say is happy Valentine's Day to all of you. I hope that you have a good one, either with someone that you love or that you treat yourself and have some good self-love today as well. Now the first thing I want to talk about is going to be right here where the moon is. What we've got going on today is a moon in Gemini. When the moon's in Gemini, it comes to communicating, talking, expressing yourself, also working with neighbors or siblings. What we've got going on early this morning, perhaps, as some of us are waking up, getting out of bed, is this moon in Gemini making a square over here to Neptune in Pisces. What this can bring? Well, I'll give you 2 interpretations. Could bring some confusing conversations that could come up at this time, just because sometimes Neptune and Mercury don't always get along. So you could be trying to communicate or think clearly about the details of things, and your mind could be wandering all over the place. So it could be confusing conversations. If that's not the case, this is a great alignment for having some very sweet conversations, romantic conversations, expressing your love today early in the morning. As you're waking up to someone that you care about. Also very good to be sensitive and compassionate and have conversations in which you express your emotions, your feelings, and your sensitivities about love or about something else as well. So can also be good for that if it's not confusing beforehand. And that's going to stick with us for a bit. The next alignment that's going to occur is going to be right after lunchtime. Right after lunchtime, this moon in Gemini is going to move further through the sign and then is going to oppose Jupiter. I do like this. I think this can bring very big feelings that can start to come up after lunchtime, especially Jupiter being the planet of expansion. So it can expand your feelings. I like to think with Jupiter in a more positive kind of way, so that you're feeling more loving, especially with Neptune involved, more caring, more excited about what is going on. Again, could still be a little bit hard to communicate in finite terms clearly about things, but there is definitely a lot of emotions happening today. Things that you're feeling, things that are going on here that you're working out inside you as well, and working out in your belief systems, that I think is going to be a main focus for today. If these aren't good feelings that can come up, sometimes Jupiter can exaggerate things the other way. So maybe there are things that you're not feeling that great about that could come up as you start to move a little bit further throughout the day, especially depending upon how those conversations went earlier in the morning. But typically I'm very optimistic about this alignment, just because Jupiter and Neptune are such good friends and they're squaring throughout this whole process. So what I do believe is that there are a lot of good feelings that are going on. We're expanding our inner world here. We're trying new things. And I think because of these new things that we're discovering, that we're passionate about, that we like, that we're realizing, I think then we're having to communicate about what we're feeling, about what's going on inside us. That can be a little confusing at first, but can also be helpful to get some of what's going on inside you outside. So that is the first thing I want to mention here with this moon in this spot. You got to try the best that you can to communicate about what you're feeling, whether it's good or whether it's bad, and to communicate with sensitivity, with understanding, and with vulnerability. And I think if you can do that, then there's actually going to be some positivity that can come later in the day for you to better understand what you're thinking and feeling, and to move forward now that you've got some things off your chest. So that's what I want to talk about there. The second thing I want to mention is going to be right here. Ooh, I love this on Valentine's Day. Mars entering the sign of Taurus. This to me is a good thing, even though Mars doesn't really like Taurus, but I think it can be a good thing after we've had a crazy past few years of Jupiter being in Scorpio, Saturn being in Scorpio, and now Mars is pulling the opposite of what's been going on the past few years. The past few years with Jupiter and Saturn in Scorpio has been all about change, soul searching, things up and down, karmic stuff that you've been dealing with. And Mars here, which moves into Taurus today, is saying, I'm not dealing with any of that. None of this karmic stuff that's going on. None of these emotions being up and down. It's time to try to, even if you do have a lot of big feelings that come up today with the moon opposite Jupiter, it's time to stabilize. It's time to ground yourself. It's time to make decisions and to stick with your decisions, and to bring more stability, more security, and more confidence back to your life. And so I think that's what's trying to go on. We have a lot of feelings with this moon in this spot today. We have a lot of emotions, a lot of things going on inside. And I think we're trying to express these emotions outwardly so that these things can then be known and we can start to move forward in our life feeling more grounded, more stable, and more committed to a path that's going to help us feel better and more at peace with ourselves. So I do like this a lot. This is not an alignment to rock the boat. This is not an alignment to turn your life upside down. Quite the contrary. This is an alignment that says after the past 5-6 years of your life, it is time to start to put the pieces back together. And the way that you put the pieces back together is by starting from a place of truth, is starting from a place of authenticity, and starting from a place where you can express your deepest vulnerabilities in a way that that can come across and be understood by others, even if it doesn't quite always make sense logically. Now, the third and last thing I want to talk about is going to be right here with Venus in a conjunction with Saturn. This, of course, is very relationship related because Venus is involved. So this can bring lots of decisions about relationships, lots of commitments to relationships to be more long-term. As well. I do think these decisions and these commitments are going to help you feel better about relationships and about money too. Venus rules money because it is making this sextile to Neptune here. So I think perhaps by us communicating about what we're feeling today, about our emotions, even if it's hard for us to logically make sense of that, and I think by us trying to figure out how to bring more stability into our life instead of less stability with the things that we're saying, it's then going to help us get more clear on our relationships, on where our relationships are going, and either separate from relationships in a way that we feel we might need to bring more peace back to ourselves, or to get even more committed to someone or to something in your life that is very, very important to you, and to move forward on that. Okay, so I don't know, something about this Valentine's Day I do like, even though expressing your emotions could be interesting, because you could want to make sense things of logically and things don't make sense logically. But I think if you're sensitive to your own needs, if you're sensitive to your other people's needs, if you express what's going on inside you with compassion and with your intuition, I think it's going to help you get more clear on what's going on with your relationships, on who you need in your life, and really begin to commit to building something more long lasting that feels better for you, more confident, and that you actually really do like and need. So I think it's going to be a good one. I hope you all have a great day, and I will talk to you later.